All right. Here we are. It is mid-January. It's cold here in Florida, but the world is on fire. I'm here with James Auffant. This is From the Margins with James Auffant. Welcome, Jimmy. How are you?
Oh, and it was a great Three King Day, and I want to say to the world, we are on fire, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. But before I do anything else, I want to congratulate the Orange County Commission, which voted to save Split Oaks, which voted to fight the Department of uh, Natural Resources in Tallahassee, because Split Oaks is an agreement that the counties of Osceola, Orange, and the state of Florida reach to protect that area from development. And now Osceola County sees a way to make money, and some of their commissioners have made money already. They want to kill the area, put a road through it, saying that it's not going to affect them. That's like saying that this is a safe uh, uh, gasoline. There's no such a thing as a safe gasoline or safe petroleum. They're all emanate things. But again, Orange County, thank you. You did a great job by what you did. So yes, we're good.
So what? So what's the next step for the Split Oak issue in Orange County in particular?
Well, Split Oak legally is owned by Orange, Osceola, and the state of Florida. It's in a partnership of all three.
Yes.
And anything that happens to it, all three have to agree. There was a vote to take to Tallahassee to for a vote to see if they would consider approving the road. That vote passed. But after that vote passed, some crazy person on the CRC decided to put on the ballot that the Orange County could not vote to develop Split Oaks or to do any construction on it, and that any construction on it, it must go against. That person then put it on the ballot, and it won by 86% of the vote. So right now, Orange County is mandated and obligated. That's why I do not know why it took so long to fight this, because this is what the residents of Orange County wanted. Look, none of them won by 86% of the vote. The only 86% was Clean Water and Split Oaks. So, with all due respect to everybody, it's quite clear that we do not want development in Split Oaks. We want to maintain it as a forest. We wanted to maintain it as a green area. As a matter of fact, most of it's underwater, so I'm not sure how you could develop it. But there's a connection between Orange County and Osceola County that they want to make. Not that there's four roads that don't connect right now, but this will make it easier for the developers. And by the way, one of them is the Mormon Church, just so everybody knows. The Mormon Church has its hands in this and has been paying off a lot of people.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. It seems that someone's practicing their drums where I'm at, so it's a little distracting. However, if individuals here in Orange County needed to let their state representatives in the courts also know where they stand with this, what are you recommending that they do?
Well, there's a lot of things they could do. There's nothing that says that they cannot file a piece of paper saying, I, James Auffant, are in support of this in the court proceeding. It's nothing that
Okay.
could stop them from putting into their state representative, Republicans or Democrats, say, hey, I'm in favor of this. And if you don't, I will vote against you. And there's nothing that will has any objection to what I like to call the psychological influence, which I never forget that during the, the, the Anthony case here in town, you had to get a ticket to go into the courtroom, and the judge expressed many times the general public interest in the matter Well, the general interest in the matter is that there's only standing room when the court hears these cases is also a matter of interest. Or that the people are outside of the courtroom and that somebody tells, hey, judge, there's 1,000 people outside also interested in this case. And we had to put some speakers so they could hear what's going on. Or we had to go on Zoom so people could see it. I never forget the first time that there was that Osceola County sued Orange County to stop the vote of Split Oaks. Very few people remember that. I was on Zoom, and according to Zoom, there was 150 people on, and there was another 250 trying to get in, but the limit at that time was 150. We have to go back to the days when Zoom began. So it was an interesting thing because I know that that judge was looking down there. There's 150 people here and 250 waiting to get in. And if you tell me that didn't have any influence, it did. So that is what we could do. And we could write, and there's nothing illegal about writing. I'm a citizen of Orange County, and I back Orange County suing against this. And I think it's going to be very interesting because, from what I'm gathering, this case is going to end up in the Supreme Court of Florida, and we'll see.
Right. That was going to be my next, question. What's the next step here as far as any appeals or anything like that? And you suspect that it will find its way at the Florida Supreme Court?
It will, and it's going to be an interesting, and sending a message to everybody. Orange County is pro-environment. Osceola County is not. Osceola County is pro. How much can I develop? And Osceola County, with all due respect, it would take. There's no way they could develop 1/3 of it because it's so large. So it doesn't matter. But it's going to take some time before people realize that Orange County, here we're pro-environment. I mean, I don't recall in my lifetime anything winning with 86% of the vote. Never in my life.
Right. I remember that. Who from the county, and this will be my last question on the Split Oak mitigation force, who from Orange County will have to, if it does get appealed to the Supreme Court, Florida Supreme Court, who from the county is responsible for arguing the case for the county?
I would be quite surprised if otherwise. The county would hire attorneys to argue that. What we call outside counsel. They would hire somebody from outside to do that because none of the local attorneys in the office have the expertise or the experience as litigators to do so. But I assume they will hire somebody from some of the large firms in Tallahassee.
And now let's pivot to something else that occurred during that Tuesday meeting. There were representatives, about 24 or so, who came to the commission for public comment, and they were encouraging the commission to reconsider, to have a conversation about reconsidering their cooperation with immigration enforcement officials and maintaining, keeping housing temporarily those individuals who have been detained for whatever crime, but also has an immigration retainer on them. I forgot, it's like a rule or a code or agreement 248 or something like that. I'll bring it up in a moment. But there was a hard argument made by Commissioner Simrad to add this conversation to the agenda. And from what I've read, the Mayor Demings, wasn't having any of that. Do you have any insight into any of that, Jimmy?
Look, I understand what the citizens are coming from. I understand, with all due respect, that there's an abuse in the system. I understand that right now, ICE, in the eyes of the American people, is not is no longer looked as a favorable law enforcement, and some people are seriously and correctly questioning their methodology, not necessarily the that they enforce the laws, but their methodology. I mean, breaking windows of cars, pulling people out of the cars, and then who end up being U.S. citizens. We know that they have detained even county employees and other people who are here legally. And God forbid that you're talking to your spouse in Spanish in some place, they'll bring you in for questioning. So yes, we understand that, and we understand that the conversation needs to be had. The question is, do we have the power to really do something? And we have to be very careful. Here, I'm going to give a warning to my Democrat friends. I understand where you're coming from. I'm as pissed off with ICE as you are. And if I was president of the United States someday, I would fire them all immediately. That's not the issue. Be careful. The biggest pushback in the last 10 years that we had in this country was because of two words that are being now changed but can be used against us. I remember defund the police. That was dumb. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Not every policeman is bad. Okay.
Right.
Not every policeman is corrupt. Can't say that. The same thing of the members of the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, and my president is corrupt. I understand that. But nobody's saying defund Trump because, well, hey, he gets his money from other sources, not from the government necessarily. The truth of the matter is that the way that this is going to be carefully said, now it is fire ICE or eliminate ICE. ICE is necessary. It's doing its job incorrectly. Just like if you had said, hey, fire the cops who are killing people, I would have had no problem with that. And I think the American people would have had no problem. But just defund the police, that is what. So when you say eliminate ICE or fire ICE, that's not going to cut it. I have two words that you might want to use, which is much better. Control ICE. That would I think most Americans say, hey, we have to control all our enforcement. That's what our core systems are. And yes, we have the right to say that we think you have exceeded your authority or that you are acting inappropriately. Sure, that I think that discussion can be had, but not defund or fire ICE. Control ICE. Review ICE. Check on ICE. Yes, all those I can live with, but be very careful. Having a discussion will accumulate political points. I'm not sure that under the current world of the state of Florida and of our asshole of Governor DeSantis, that might not be something that would come and bite us, you know where.
I know that I looked this up while we were talking. The actual program or addendum that Mayor Demi signed was the 287G addendum, where it allows local jails to hold and transport ICE detainees. And that was the agreement that is being asked to be, I guess, reviewed and maybe rescinded. I remember that the mayor said that when this first came up and the decision was made in August of 2025 to sign the agreement and move forward, I remember the mayor saying that's not an argument you should be having with us. This is an argument you should be having with the people in charge at the state level, with your state representatives, with your state senators, with the governor. It's the governor threatened to remove the entire commission if they were not in agreement with the 287G addendum. And that would have meant that if they're removed, any sense of resistance or counter argument would be gone, and the commission would be, reappointed by people that the mayor, not I'm sorry, people that the governor has decided should represent the people, not necessarily the people that were elected. So I'm shocked that this was being revisited. Although Commissioner Simrad was like, "Hey, let's talk about it. Let's put it on the agenda." And we know that the mayor does control the agenda. Um, but I think it was inappropriate to say, "Hey, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this right now," especially coming from a very small, but however vocal group of individuals.
Well, you have to understand that those are the ones who are going there. And look, in fairness, I would have to give credit when he said one thing that I don't think most of us picked up. He signed it under intimidation.
Duress, yes, that's very clear. I
So
remember.
it's not that they agreed with it. It was this or the other. And look, right now, thank God the DeSantis days are counted, and I pray that anybody but Collins gets elected. Thompson might be scary too. I mean, Donald might be scary too. But at this point, I would just let the Republicans in the state continue screwing themselves over. So I don't know if you noticed what happened at the opening of the session, that DeSantis went and shake the hands of the president of the Senate and refused to shake the hands of the Speaker of the House. And they're both Republicans, for the record. So it's kind of they're divided. Let them fight among themselves. Right now, it's going to be interesting what's going to happen after November of this year, unless the Democrats continue fucking up, which they're capable of doing that. They have a track record that proves they are. They're going to take over the House. If they're smart and they've learned their lesson, they might take over the Senate.
I don't know, Jimmy. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at it's January, mid-January, and there's so much that can happen between now and July 4th, that the Democrats have that opportunity. I'm not ruling it out. However, I'm not giving it such high odds as, say, any prediction market out there. I think with the likelihood that Florida will redistrict its congressional districts, the Republicans will likely pick up 2, maybe 3 additional seats, maybe 5. Who knows? Um, that will help the overall math. And we already know that the congressional districts are so what is it, gerrymandered, that a handful of seats, maybe 30, 40 seats, are really truly battleground seats. And a lot depends on, I believe, what happens when people get their big tax returns. We see oil, gasoline for our cars falling. We're seeing prices for other commodities falling. We've got the 250th anniversary of the United States celebrated this year. So there's going to be a lot of patriotism, and that the administration is going to go all out and just exploiting that. You've got the World Cup, a lot of
Yeah. You're talking as a normal politician, and I agree with you. But we have a moron politician in the White House. Look, let's now. You want to bring that up? Sure. Is he talking about the economy? No. Is he talking about affordability? No. Gasoline comes and goes. I'll say this: gasoline. It depends how it is the last 3 weeks before the primary. It might influence, but I doubt it. Food is still high. I'm sorry. Food is still high. The truth of the matter, rent is high as hell.
Mhm.
Real estate is unaffordable. Okay. If he fires Powell and then he points some idiot that that's what he tells them and fucks up the economy. That could be another thing. But you're talking about people who try to manipulate the president of the United States. And look, I'll ask a question. How in the fuck has Venezuela removal of Maduro helped the economy of this country? It hasn't.
Well, Jimmy, I mean, we are pumping Venezuela oil and
No,
refining
we're
it
not.
in the United States.
No, we're
Yes,
not. That's a lie. 50,000 gallons do not last the United States 30 minutes of consumption. I'm sorry. This bullshit of yes, 50,000 gallons do not. And if you listen to the president, not me, he said in his crazy speech that he did in the White House that is good for Alphas. He didn't say you get great gasoline. He said it's good for Alphas. Okay, that's what it's good for.
Mm-hmm.
But 50,000 gallons a day. And by the way, they're not giving us 50,000 gallons a day. They're giving us a total of 50,000 gallons. It's not. Prices of gas are down because there's an abundance of gasoline in the United States and in the world. And prices of gas are down the whole world. It has nothing to do with Venezuela. I'm sorry. And I'm going to ask this cost. How much is this costing us to have our troops down there, our boats down there, our planes down there? That's a cost that they're not going to tell you about that. Yes, the truth of the matter is that Americans at the end of the day care about their food, care about their gas prices, care about their car prices, which are not down, their house prices, which we know are not down. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, are you going to tell me that invading and taking out Maduro has helped the economy of the United States? Not really. They don't produce enough gasoline to do. As a matter of fact, even in the good old days when Exxon, if you listen to the guy from Exxon, what they did with the Venezuelan gasoline that they removed from their petroleum, they sold it in all around South and Central America. Right. That's how they took care of those markets. It never really hit this market because there was no need for it to hit this market. So it is a question that they tried to lie to us. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say, give kudos to the Trump administration for one thing. They've done that they're going to investigate Powell. They've done Venezuela. They threatened with Greenland. They've had meetings with the leaders of the petroleum world. And you know what they have put at the end of it as number 8 subject on the news?
What's that, Jimmy?
The thing that was killing them, Epstein. Nobody's talking about him anymore.
No one's talking about him.
Nobody's talking about Epstein. Why? Because it's Venezuela. It's a fear that he's going to invade Greenland. It's crazy enough to invade Greenland. That he's having Powell investigated. That he's asked the Department of Justice to do some weird and strange things too. That we are talking right now about even another actor who supposedly is a pedophile. Nobody's discussing the fact that the Department of Justice has still not complied with the law and sent and revealed all the documents in the Epstein file. That's true. I congratulate you. You have done a great job of what I call sidetracking something. That is no longer the issue. People are not discussing that. As a matter of fact, even Fox News is talking more about affordability now than it is about Epstein. So it is a distraction, but realistically, what I are going to ask the American public is to tell me simply, will taking in Greenland help your economy or not? Because I'm going to tell you one thing. If you take over Greenland, you're going to take over their budget. Okay? They're a colony. Sure. You're going to have to take over their budget. You're going to have to put boats there to secure it. And you're probably going to go to war. Is it worth it? And I would say no. Are the minerals there worth it? No. Because as a matter of fact, Trump is so stupid. He doesn't even say, he'll say it's national security. When asked what national security, he wants to get to those precious metals before China or Russia does, which is kind of stupid because he could enter into a contract, but because it's so cold out there, American companies don't want to go there. It's cheaper for them to buy from China. Simple as that. But again, so yes, the question is here. People, you have been doomed. You've been doomed to believe that if you elect Trump, the economy is going to be better. You've been doomed by seeing ICE breaking windows and taking out U.S. citizens that deportations are up. They're really not. Still, Obama is surpassed deportations of Trump. Numbers are numbers. The math doesn't lie. 3, you've been told that everything is okay with the economy. Well, I'm not sure if that is true. I hear both sides, but that is not true. So what is better now? You had a president before that who was kind of not all there, who was at times saying crazy, weird things. And you said, we need to get rid of him and put one weirder and crazier in place. Look, do we know that our president lies to us? Of course we do. Does most Americans care? No. What they care about is their economy. And some care about that they want to make this a white nation again. No doubt about that. If they want to make it a white nation, and like most other states, they want to make abortion an issue that it's a crime now. Now you go to jail if you're a doctor performing it. That's what they care about. As a matter of fact, it's always interesting, but I ask one question to most of you who claim to be Christians. To what church does Donald Trump belong to, and how often does he go to services?
I can answer that second part. He doesn't go to church often, period. And the first part is just a stab in the dark. I don't think he is
a member of any church?
Member of any church, yes.
On Sunday mornings, you know what he does most than going to church?
He plays golf.
Bingo! He's
Right.
a good Christian.
That's it. Jimmy, I want to push back on efforts that the president has made to address the affordability. And he's talked about executive orders requiring credit card companies to or banks, because they're the ones who charge the interest. Banks to charge have a cap of 10% on credit card charges. He's ordered that Freddie and Fannie Mac buy back mortgage bonds to help lower rates. I understand also that he has asked that large corporations or investment funds are limited in the number of homes that they can purchase. Granted, it's a small percentage of homes nationally that these corporations purchase and own. However, in like Central Florida, there's a concentration of these real estate investment firms or private equity firms that own these homes, and they're off the market and sometimes used as Airbnb types or short-term rentals, or just sit vacant. So I see some effort to address affordability in certain markets.
I'll push back with saying something very simple. Bullshit. He's not signed any executive orders that I'm aware of. He says he's going to do it. He knows he doesn't have the authority to tell a bank how much interest it could charge. Only Congress has that authority. That is clear. What is he going to tell them? That they could cap how many properties they can buy? Since when does a president have the power to control the free market? I have a property I want to sell to you. I don't give a shit what the executive order says. But Donald Trump has a thing that he's a master at, and I give him credit for. I'm going to do, but he never does.
Mm.
So when you say they're trying to, what? That they're discussing that they might do something? How does that help my bottom line? And look, it's the interest rate is one thing that's killing us. Why doesn't he sign an executive order increasing the minimum salary, which the federal government does have the authority to,
Right.
right? Which would put more money in my pocket, which would, at the end of the day, make it easier for me to pay my bills. But no. That one I'm not going to touch. Why doesn't he tell the banks, hey, you might want to pay the people with a checking account some more interest for what they're depositing? No. That one we're not going to touch. Or be careful with Fannie Mae. Remember what happened in 2007 and 2008 when the federal government decided to tell Fannie Mae to start lowering interest and to lending to people who did not qualify and stuff like that, how that in the market.
Right.
That one I'm extremely concerned about. But what he says he's going to, that he's looking into, but he doesn't do shit, he's bamboozling you. And that's the biggest thing that he's good for. He bamboozles. I have done this. You have done shit. The economy is in the tank. Anybody who, it's Biden's fault. With all due respect, you've been a president for a full year now. As of next week, as of next Tuesday, you will have been the president of this country for 1 year. And you said on day one, you're going to resolve everything. And when they 365 and you resolve nothing. That is the problem that I have. Look, talk is cheap, or like they say, bullshit walks. Bullshit talk, okay.
Yes.
So, he's great at bullshit. I'm going to do. Look, Venezuela has now reduced the price of gas. It was being reduced way beforehand. And by the way, this week it went up 14 cents. For those of you who have not hit the gas station, from what it was last week, it's up 14 cents.
Yeah.
So it always keeps going up and down. Second, basically, are you going to tell me that the food in the supermarket is cheaper, like he said? He said, not me. I will reduce the prices in the supermarket. Hasn't happened. Okay, our cost of living is expensive, but the one thing that he has done, and that nobody discusses, is that he has everybody pissed off with us in the world. Canadians don't like us anymore. People in Europe don't like us anymore. People in Africa don't like us anymore. People in South America don't like us anymore. What did we do? Oh, no, nothing. We elected an asshole who has pissed them off. And again, pissing off Canada, pissing off Europe, pissing off South America and Africa, and most of the Asian continents. Has that helped you in your economy? The answer is no. Look, the biggest cost of our inflation, approximating numbers, and the cost of living in this country can be said by one word: tariffs. The billions and billions of dollars, the hundreds of billions of dollars that has been collected was not paid by foreign countries. It was paid by the importers who increased the prices to you. So let's stop pretending that the economy is solvent, Right now, I'm going next March to the International Stamp Show in Boston.
Okay.
And we had to have a ruling, just so you understand. These stamp dealers are going to bring in millions of dollars of stamps to sell from all around the world. It happens every 10 years. And they had to get a special exemption. Somebody paid for some bitcoins, and they got a tax exemption so they could come in and go out with their stamps. That should have never happened. When it was 10 years ago in New York, they didn't even have to get that permission because it was in the code. But now that everything that comes from these countries is 10 to 15, 20%, yes, they had to get that exemption. And it's even stupider that some of them were thinking about flying from England to here, so that way they could charge only 5% instead of the 20% from the rest of Europe. That is how stupid it's getting. So yes, the economy is all distraction. You're not talking about the economy because you're talking about Venezuela. You're not talking about everything because you're talking about Greenland. You're not talking about the cost of housing because you're discussing power. It's a distraction after distraction after distraction after distraction. With all due respect, people, if I think it's important to you, stay focused on it because nothing's happening there. Other than releasing some pictures of Bill Clinton, well, yes, the Clintons have told Congress, "Go fuck yourself. We're not going to testify." That's the biggest thing that's happened in the Epstein files. And I wonder when they're going to have the guts to say, "Hey, Donald, you appear in a lot of photos here. Why don't you come and answer some of the questions about these photos?" As a matter of fact, number-wise, I'm not exempting Bill Clinton because Bill is, we all know, since we elected him the first time, he has a problem. Okay, he's always had a problem. Let's not. But to try to say that Trump doesn't is also a lie. He was found by a jury in New York as committing a sexual act. Okay, you could try to say that there was a jury who heard the case and decided against him. But here's the important thing: if you're going to go on the travel log on the plane of Epstein, Trump almost doubles the time he was on that plane to Bill Clinton. Not saying that Bill didn't to go, but to try to say, well, Bill was a pervert, but the other one, no. They were all three of them were good friends. Let's stop pretending this. Okay?
Sure. Yes.
They were good friends. Something brought them to separate, I'm fine. But to say, though, oh, no. Bill's so bad. So I defy the Congress to have the cojones to say to, hey, Trump, since we're going to bring in Bill Clinton, you should answer some questions too, because you're appearing a lot of the photos with him, you know.
And going back to what you were saying about the Epstein files, I almost forgot. Bill and Hillary Clinton were subpoenaed by Congress to talk about these things and others, and the Clintons have said thank you, but no thank you. That doesn't bode well for, of course, the Clintons or those seeking answers for the Epstein files, and even more so for the Democrats.
Well, it doesn't, but to a certain point, they have a valid point. If some of us are going to come in, let's all of us come in. If you just going to nitpick me, but you're going to let the other guy out of it, no. And you know something? If the Republicans had done that, I don't think that people would be that offended. If it was the reverse, that the Congress was Democrat, and all of a sudden plus they're doing a calculated risk, and and you know what they're doing, right?
They're delaying any type of comment, any type of accountability because of the midterms.
Bingo. And if the Democrats take over the House, it goes away.
It goes away. Oh, Jimmy, the hypocrisy.
Have I ever said that? I think that one party is look, the only difference between one and the other at this point,
right?
One doesn't have a leader, and the other, the leader is senile, suffering from severe cases of dementia and some weird things, which, by the way, is going to be part of the fuck up of the week that we have not discussed. But yes, because right now, again, who is the leader of the Democratic Party? We don't have one. Chuck Schumer? Fuck no. Hakeem? No. AOC? No. Bernie? No. So we don't have leadership right now that we can say, well, that's. But can we say that Donald Trump is acting crazy every day, 24 hours a day, and 7 days a week? Does he do something that you would go, holy shit, if a Democrat did that, we would not hear the end of the day?
President Trump has he's the headliner at Davos at the World Economic Forum. And this weekend. And all indication is that it's going to be a doozy. That speech is going to be something else.
Well,
Are we going to?
I just hope he could surpass the fuck up of the week this weekend.
Oh, I can't wait to get to that.
And that's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take
I really can't wait to get to that.
Okay. And by the way, before we go to the comments, I'm going to go and ask a new question. Are you okay with the fact that your president lies to you, insults people, insults leaders of other countries, and puts the image of the United States of America in a lower level than it should be? Are you okay with that? Yes or no? Simple. I don't care if your heating oil is cheaper. I don't care. It's a simple question. Are you okay that the president of the United States is known to be a liar, is known to be somebody who insults people, and is known somebody who's currently corrupt and can be bribed by either praising him or by other means? And that's question one. Next week, I have one that's even more interesting, if you're okay with.
Interesting. I must add this to that question so our viewers know. In today's meeting with President Trump, Ms. Machado, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, and the exiled, I wouldn't say exiled because I think she can come back at any time.
Doing it for I wouldn't think so.
You don't think so, Jimmy?
Oh, no.
All the political prisoners were released. 800 of them.
Yes, they were.
Even the leader of the opposition.
They were released. You're right, and that way they save money, and the person who really wanted them in jail is gone. That's correct. But do not think that they're just going to say, "Oh yes, come here. You're in control now. I'm giving you the power." No.
Well, Miss Machado, I just got a notification. Miss Machado presented her Nobel Prize to President Donald J. Trump. Does this ever get any weirder? You know?
No, look, and I understand. Look, and he removed Machado. He did something good. I'm not going to try to say he didn't. That his reasoning was wrong is beside the point, and that he was manipulated by Marco Rubio is beside the point. Removing Machado was correct. He did the correct thing. I have no problem with that. But he left the rest of the party in charge. These people believe in socialism. Let's start pretending. These people are taking him for a ride. 50 gallons, 50 barrels of oil a day. I could tell you right now, that's part of less than what in Louisiana is being pumped out of those pumps in the region. And less than an hour, they pump more than that out. So 50. You see, it's like, no, I hate to say this. A gas station alone takes over 125 barrels to load up. So just do your math. It's not that significant. Plus, the oil from Venezuela, even he admitted, was good only for alphas. It's not even, for lubricants. It's not gasoline, so it's not going to have any impact. So it's really something that we need to understand clearly how it works. So yeah, but they are very appreciative of him removing Madero, and they should be. But if they think that, look, it's like right now people, well, we're going to remove the leadership of the Cuban Communist Party. Look, this happened in 1959. Okay, in 3 years, it's going to be 75 years. The people there the only type of government that they've known is that type of government. And and all these people in the exile are going to be the president. Look, you know what started the revolution in Cuba is the American control over Cuba, that the Cubans were fed up with it, and they said, and they pushed them away. What you saw in The Godfather, that the mafia controlled the hotels and the casino, that is true. That is not a lie. And that a lot of American enterprises control Cuba, that is true. And the Cubans rebelled against that. But what are we going to do? We're going to free them. We're going to control them by appointing Marco Rubio.
Viceroy Marco Rubio.
So yes, the thing is realistically, I don't foresee it. I understand them, and I really do. I know a lot of Venezuelans, and they're very appreciative, but secretly, off the record, I tell you, they're concerned because they don't see any significant changes. Daisy Rodriguez and her brother control the government in Venezuela to this day. Okay,
correct. The regime is in place.
And the thing that blows my mind is that everybody was pissed off because the secret police went out and arrested and killed all the people that helped out the CIA. Really? That surprises you? They helped the CIA attack the government of their country and they were arrested for that? We arrest people here for spying.
Right.
And if anybody had helped, any locals had helped try to kill Trump, would we have no problem with them being arrested and killed? Probably not. You know, it's the response. Well, they're arresting people for helping the CIA. Well, what did you expect them to do? Give them a prize and say, "Hey, here's an award." Oh, give me a break. Grow up. Use your brain.
It's geopolitics.
It is. To the next one. Okay. So how the comments?
Let's get to some comments. Got some interesting ones, mostly from TikTok, and one interesting one from
YouTube.
And that came from CNSTA, or I'm sorry, CSNT Adventures. And they stated, the main reason we invaded, and this is in regards to the whole complete program from last week, the Venezuelan oil heist and Minnesota's $250 million scandal. The main reason we invaded is one thing, called the Monroe Doctrine. 2 days before we took Maduro, Venezuela signed a $2 billion contract for oil in China to move in military equipment. The Monroe Doctrine does not allow foreign military equipment in the Western Hemisphere. Monroe Doctrine was mentioned as many times as oil.
Monroe Doctrine is something that a president invented. It is not law, for the record of those of you who do not understand this. And the fact that it was used to kick Spain out of the hemisphere and justify the Americans to have their colonies in Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. And basically, it's kind of interesting because we still have colonies in this hemisphere. Belize is one. The Falkland Islands next to Argentina belong to England, and we backed England to maintain that colony.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure what Monroe Doctrine applies there. For that matter, we have other countries that have been doing business with China, with Russia for years, including Cuba, which is 90 miles away from us. And to say that there's no weapons in Cuba from China or Russia, only a moron would try to argue that point. So if you're going to talk about the Monroe Doctrine, look, you did not, let's start by this. You did not invade. You entered and left, took Maduro and his wife with you, but you did not invade the country. You did not remove the government from power. And basically, other than removing Maduro, everything else in Venezuela remains the same. Are there still weapons that come from Cuba, that come from Russia and China? They've been there for years. And they're still there, for the record. In case you did
Sure.
not know that, there's still weapons there from China and Russia that came through Cuba. Okay, just in case you're wondering, they signed a contract with China, yes, to sell their oil, yes. What you wanted to sell to the U.S.? The U.S. has already told us they're not interested in it. They told us they're not interested. Just listen to the fuck up of the week and you find out.
Okay. All right. And we go to TikTok real quick. And TikTok, this is from, let's see, one of our shorts. What solution did Trump offer? None. And we have from California Loves 59. Republicans are not going to, because they don't want to be blamed if something doesn't go right, even if it's real small. And I'm sorry, that was from a short called Republicans Risk Losing Voters by Ignoring the ACA Subsidies. This was a recent comment. What do you think of that comment, Jimmy?
It's correct. Look, Republicans are running afraid that if they criticize the president, he's going to run somebody against them, and he's going to primary them out, and they're going to go. Look, as much as I hate this every week lately, be pronouncing Margaret Taylor Greene's name, she's right. She knew that she was going to be targeted. She probably was going to lose the primary, and she said, "I'm going out on my own terms. I'm out of here. I can't deal with the craziness anymore." Look, that's the other issue that is not being discussed. We're still discussing Venezuela, Greenland. We're discussing power. We're discussing everything else. We're not discussing Epstein, but we're hardly discussing the increase in price of Obamacare, the increase of price of healthcare in this country, and that this government can do something for us because it has done something for us for the last 12 years and has chosen not to help you out. This is the sad part. Republicans have chosen to say to you, we do not want you to be healthy. Republicans have said, we don't care if you die. You don't have health care, your problem, not mine. I prefer to give tax breaks to the rich and the powerful who put money in my pockets than to spend a penny on you to help you out. And by the way, I'm going to add one thing to this. Today is the 15th of January. This is my question also to you. Where in the fuck is the Republican health plan, which they've been discussing for years? Again, where in the fuck is the Republican health plan? Because I have not seen any introduced at all. I've heard no discussion of it. As a matter of fact, a bunch of Republicans voted to maintain the subsidies, and the Republicans in the Senate are going to kill it. Okay? But right now, my question again is, where the fuck is the Republican health plan? Which has been planned for years. It's been saying better and bigger and more for everybody. And as of this day, I have heard nothing about it. So what maybe you might want to do is start calling your congressman and say, where the fuck is your health plan? Because saying, I'm not going to subsidize Obamacare and I'm going to leave you with nothing is not a solution. So again, where's the fuck is the Republican health plan? Because I haven't seen it. Have you?
Well, there have been some plans that have not been, moved forward. I think one plan offered that the money that was going towards subsidies to the insurance companies would go directly to citizens.
Well, they're going to send every citizen an average of $12,000 a year, and they're going to pay down their debts. Oh, no, subsidies. Ooh, subsidies were not $2,000. They were much more than that, because it would average $2,000 per person. Okay, but if you had your wife and 2 kids, you're asking $8,000. If you had 3 kids, and that's what I'm trying to get. A lot of people do not understand this. And by the way, still, are they going to be able to afford with $12,000 to buy health insurance that is of a good quality? With the prices that there are right now, I can tell you no. So when they say we're going to send you money, how much? Is it going to be enough to pay for health insurance? I seriously doubt it. You see, this is the thing that Republicans do all the time. They bullshit you. We're going to do something. We're thinking about it. We're considering it. But we haven't done shit. Because right now, the biggest problem with their plan is the same problem they'd have with Obamacare. Where's the money going to come from? Because we cut off all the taxes. We gave all the money back. We don't have any money in our budget to do this unless we cut from defense and other agencies. We have no money to do this.
And Jimmy, that's a good segue to the last comment I want to highlight from TikTok. And that was to the previous short that I had mentioned. What solution did Trump offer? And the comment is from Linzwall, Linzwal. And Linzwall says, all you have to do is look at the U.S. debt clock. I think that's a very good point. There, as you just stated, where's the money coming from? We're looking at historic debt, $38 trillion budget deficit.
And let me clarify something for you. If you look, and this is something historical, okay? The debt was down almost to zero when Bill Clinton left office.
Correct.
Okay? The $38 billion has been done in the last 26 years. Okay? First aid, George W. Bush, with the Department of Homeland Care and all that stuff, it went off the roof. Obama, the first 2 years, he did with his Obamacare, but the other 6 years, in fairness, the House and the Senate was controlled by Republicans, followed by Donald Trump.
Don't forget the bailouts, the bank bailouts.
No, that's where I was going to go.
When he came into office.
Yeah, that was done really by Bush, for the record.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Donald Trump, who increased the deficit with the agreement of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, that gave us money to stay home during the pandemic. I mean, we got thousands of dollars because our businesses were going down and because they told us to stay in the house and to stay in and don't go out, because if we looked in the sun, we would get COVID. I'm sorry, I'm exaggerating, but you know where I'm coming from. And that increased the deficit. And the same thing was done by Biden, who also gave us money because of COVID. So I'm not going to just put it all on Donald Trump. And in this 2 years, in this first year, nothing has happened that has reduced the deficit. But with all due respect, and all this time, we have had 12 years of Republicans, 13 years of Republican presidents and 12 years of Democrat presidents. But the majority of the time that we're talking about in the last 25 years, you, the American people, have put in power the Republicans because they're better with the economy. Sorry. The biggest deficits have been created by Republicans. And for the record, right now, it's not going to come into probably July or August, but once the numbers hit of what we have spent in the Venezuela involvement, the numbers of the deficit of this government are going to be high because it's going to be somebody's going to have to justify increasing money for defense, which is not who is the biggest eater of all the funds in this country is defense, even though when we're not even at war. But yes, the deficit is going to kill us. And guess who used to be deficit hawkers?
Used to be the Republicans.
And who created them now? Them. And now and I noticed this, that Mike Johnson, the speaker, is not talking about it. And the president of the Senate is not speaking about it either. So, with all due respect to everybody, Republicans used to use that. Now what they use is, hey, we need to get rid of those people that are not white like us and send them back to their countries of origin, and that will take care of all our problems. And don't worry, he's a billionaire. He knows how to fix the economy. Not necessarily. But that's sorry for another day. So we're ready for the fuck up of the week. Let me
Yes,
start.
we are, sir.
Let me
But
start.
before we start, we should say one thing to our
Yeah.
mutual friend. Congratulations to Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cadero on her filing for clerk of the courts here in Orange County, Florida. Although the office is not up for election until 2028, the current clerk, Tiffany Moore Russell, is running for mayor of Orange County, and it is expected that she will resign to run, and therefore opening the seat for an election in 2026.
Oh, technically, and this is I find it interesting. She has opened a campaign and is receiving money. So if that's not declaring for a candidacy, I don't know what is. But that's I know that the paperwork is filed in June, but with all due respect, she filed paperwork in Orange County saying I'm a candidate and she's raising funds.
Yes. Yes.
She hasn't paid her fee, which I think she's going to pay the fee instead of taking petitions. But either way, that's the only issue that's pending. But otherwise, she's officially a candidate. Oh.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give up what I call the possible fuck up of the week for the Democrats because it's short and sweet. Many years ago, you guys fucked up by using two words. I respect Mr. Floyd and his death, and I respect the death of the young man who was killed in New York, choked to death by the police on video. And I'm not going here to defend those bad cops. Don't misunderstand me. But the Republicans effectively used against us two words that was pronounced by not even the majority of Democrats, by some, but not by the majority. And very few denounced those two words. Defund the police. Stupid, moronic, and makes no sense. You don't want to defund every police department in the United States because that's not a good idea. Even in Chicago, where the crime is rampant and you have corrupt cops and all you want to say, they still need policemen there. Okay? They still need them. So defunding the police is not the solution. I keep hearing now fire and defund ICE. Look, I'm no fan of ICE. I am no fan of what they're doing. And I agree that they have hired a lot of questionable people with masks that would never have been under law enforcement under normal circumstances because they don't qualify. I agree with all that. Okay? If you want to use two words, monitor ICE, check ICE, investigate ICE, control ICE. I have no problem with those words because they're good and they're the right way. But defunding, firing, or eliminating, those three words will be detrimental and used against us in the 2026 elections. So before we start fucking up again, I'll call it out. Stop those words. As a matter of fact, I can tell you this from my African-American friends, that defund the police did not come out of the African-American community. It came out of the black community. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'll call you out. So basically, at this point, if you want to say investigate, control, ICE, I have no problem because that's appropriate. And have a congressional investigation to ICE, I have no problem. But defund or eliminate or fire, those three are out and they're stupid. Now, let's go to the major fuck up of this week of the Republicans.
All right.
It happened in the White House. Okay, one of the things I have to give credit to my Democrat friends is that they kept Biden away from the press as much as they could because they knew he would fuck up.
Mhm.
Republicans don't do that. They had Fox News cover in the White House President Trump and the oil executives of this country. I would say this country, but most of them are from all around the world because they produce oil outside of the United States, is what I'm trying to say. They might sell them here and they might be American companies, but they do. And they had a table there. They gave him a script, which he tried to read. He went off task, saying that the United States oil producers had a problem, but that he would guarantee their safety, which he knows he cannot. And for the record, was not in the stretch that was given to him. So I'm not going to blame Mrs. Wells for that one. That was him. He went a step further, saying that Venezuela is now a friendly country where they could go in and produce their oil. That was on the script. That Venezuela would fully cooperate with them producing oil. That was on script. He did go off script a little bit and said that even though Venezuela oil was not really good to be refined in this country, we can open a refinery in Venezuela, but it was great for office and that we're going to be using this oil for new and better roads in the United States. That was not on the script. He did not talk about regime change. He said that there was no need for regime change because the regime in place was friendly and will work with us.
Right.
Here's where it becomes even more interesting. After praise of both sides, some sides started to discuss things that were true. ExxonMobil, which is the largest in this country, talked about their past experiences and really said some things that Americans need to hear.
Sure.
Venezuela put controls over its natural gas in 1972 when Chavez was a lieutenant in the Venezuela armed forces, and in 1979 took away all the control from Exxon, from Conco, and all, and not nationalized their oil when it was supposedly a democratic elected government in Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was in their best interest, and they were selling worldwide at the highest bidder. They were free market. If China gave them more money than the U.S. for their oil, they had no problem with that. It was a pure free market. You want to pay me $2 more per barrel than the U.S.? It's your oil. And for the record, that's what Americans do here in the United States. You want to pay me more? It's yours. He also said that they did not see any future in which Exxon and Mobil would invest in the United States. And that. Here's where it becomes interesting, and I call it the fuck up of the week. Somehow, Marco Rubio noticed that he was going off script. Marco Rubio took a piece of paper. Hey, go back on script, fucking up. That pissed off Donald Trump. And he read the note from Marco Rubio. And he called him out. Okay?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I found that completely amusing because it shows that those in the White House who think they can control him by praising him and by lying to him have come to the realization that no, you cannot control him. You can lie to him, you can misguide him, and he'll do stupid things that you told him. Like you told him that going into Venezuela, he would get all the oil in the world and he would be able to become a hero and he will make a lot of money. And then after walking out that meeting, he realized that the oil industry in this country has no interest in Venezuela's oil. Yes. But here's where it even becomes more of the big fuck up. After that, and after he realized that the oil companies are not going to invest, he stood up walked away. And because he was the president of the United States, Fox cameras told the people to follow him. And he decided to take Fox News on a grand tour of his new ballroom and discuss things that had nothing to do with it, to the point that they realized that he was fucking up so bad. And he was showing how off message he was and how he cannot stick to anything and how he was just talking BS, that they decided to, Fox News decided to take a break from a conversation with the president of the United States, a president that they like, a president that they push, a president that they defend. They took a break away because he was fucking up. They did not want him to continue fucking up because they know that others, CNN and others, were just doubling it because they had permission to do so. And they were going to use their news against him.
I did not know that.
That they had the permission, or that they took a break.
That this whole thing occurred. I was not aware of that.
Oh yes, he stood up. He abandoned the meeting. He walked to his ballroom and started talking about how great it's going to be and how great it's going to look and blah, 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 and everything else. And Fox News took a break. Okay, they brought in to have this live. Look, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Donald Trump keeping our message has never been his thing. Okay, even in his best days when he was not as crazy and suffering from some forgetfulness that he has at this point, but they should have never done this. It showed first that he did not have command of that room, that the idea of selling oil to the oil sector in this country was not going to fly, and that he had no hope whatsoever. And I'm going to repeat this. He had no hope whatsoever to be able to convince the American public that this was going to make money for them. Look, even if Exxon and all those executives had taken advantage of that, how does that put money in the American people's pocket? Because Exxon's not going to buy the petroleum from Venezuela. And you think, oh, well, but now that I have more petroleum, I'm going to sell it cheaper to the U.S.? Hell no. They're going to sell it at the same price. Okay? As a matter of fact, for those of you who do not know this, if you buy the barrel of oil for less, if you sell for less than $33 a barrel, the company that is taking it out of the ground, their cost, they're losing money.
Right.
So when people say, well, the more we produce, the cheaper it's going to get. No, past $33, nobody's going to sell it.
That's right. There's a ceiling, not a ceiling, a floor.
A floor as to how much they have to pay. But if you take the time and you see this news conference and this event, this was the fuck up. Wells approved this. She was sitting there. Rubio was sitting there. He gave him the note, and he read the note back to Rubio. Fuck
yes.
I don't have to follow this, and just threw it back at him.
I saw that part.
Okay. And if that's not a fuck up, please, people, tell me what is. I mean, it showed that a president who has been told by his staff, stop fucking up, go back on track, because they recognize that he's going off track. And well, that's okay, no big deal. My heating oil is cheaper. Look, really, nobody trusts the United States of America. Nobody trusts Donald Trump. And whose fault is that? The Republican Party. So, if that's not the fuck up of the week, I don't know. And God knows they're working on others. But I'll leave that for another day, for another time. With that, I would like you to subscribe. I would beg you to listen. I would beg you to comment. I would beg you to even, if you want, like or dislike me. I don't care. And by the way, as you have seen from today, I'll answer your comments. Good, bad, or indifferent, I will answer them. So with that in mind, I will see you next week. And remember, your problem is not the federal government. is the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate. Go out and vote them out. See you next week.
Have a good one, Jimmy. Thank you so much. God bless.
You too.
Thanks.